Siomra Beag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sure Look, Sure Listen, the podcast that takes a pop at culture. Sure Look, Sure Listen.
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 Sure look, sure listen. Oh, very good, Benjamin. I tell you one thing, Benjamin, there's not much going on this week. We're in the January slumps, as we used to call it.
The old slumperoonies in January. That's what we call it. We had t-shirts made and everything.
But sure, look at Ben, that's not going to stop us from taking a look at some Fast and Furious news.
Yes.
We're also going to have the slightest little hint of a rumour about one James Gunn. And,
yes.
Benjamin, we're having a look at Peacemaker, episode 5, I think it is.
Yes, it is.
And that's pretty much it.
That's all we've got, Michael. Sure listen.
Yes.
Sure listen. That's not enough to do a weekly pop culture podcast.
For the first time ever, you got to say it and it was right.
It's completely accurate. So what we're also taking a look at, Michael, is side hustles. Those bloody sidekicks, Michael,
Now,
that come into your hero's life, and someone somewhere on the editing team has said, yeah, that's what he needs. That's what he needs, a sidekick.
a boy
You need to give him a
sidekick.
sidekick. And they proceed, Michael, to become the most irritating character that you've ever run into.
Very good, Benjamin. Benjamin, I don't think side hustle means what you think it means.
No, it's a product of late stage capitalism, Michael. Side hustle means to turn any kind of ounce of joy or passion or love that you have into some sort of money making scheme.
Yeah, let's do a podcast. Benjamin,
Yeah.
wait, what are we doing? Benjamin, do you know?
Actually, sorry, just very quickly,
Yes.
Michael, they have to make money to be considered a side.
Yeah, no, you just have to keep hustling, Ben. If it doesn't make money, you have to hustle more, is my understanding of post-millennial pop culture. Benjamin, I'm going to ask you a question, Benjamin, right? And you're going to
Go
tell
on.
me if you know anyone who fits the description. Benjamin, do you know any large, burly men who aren't that picky about the roles they choose?
Okay.
Because I tell you what, Ben, if you do, Vin Diesel would like to have a chat with them about being in the next Fast and Furious movie.
Michael, of course, we're talking about your little bit of stunt casting in Fast and Furious 18, The Ride of Your Life. It's going to star you as a big burly man.
Oh,
who
very
doesn't,
good. I'll be
You don't really mind being in anything.
I'll be 50 or 55.
You'll be
It'll be very
50.
good.
Michael, you are, of course, referencing the fact that the next Fast and Furious is going to have a lot of yeah in it.
So, Benjamin, I don't know if Jason Momoa was ever the poor man's The Rock, but he's certainly going to end up as the poor man's The Rock if he keeps going down this path.
I think.
Go on.
That's an interesting question, Michael.
Go on.
Do you think he's going to be related to The Rock? Is there going to be a Samoan tie-in? Is he going to be The Rock's little brother?
That'd be good, wouldn't it? Because they already went and got a whole family of The Rocks. Well,
There's a bunch of there's an entire
Island.
there's an entire geological structure
Yeah.
involved. Rocks, pebbles,
Very good. Very good.
geodes.
Yes. Why didn't they get Roman Reigns, Ben?
I don't know, Michael. I'm not sure. Perhaps Roman Reigns will be in it, Michael. We don't know yet.
Maybe he will, Benjamin. I was going to say maybe he's no use at acting, but they've got Jason Momoa, so that obviously discounts that.
And Vin Diesel.
And
Michael.
Vin-
Let's not forget that Vin Diesel
and-
is the star of that movie.
And Vincent Diesel.
Vincent Unleaded. Yeah, it's going to be. Look, does it matter anymore? People are going to go see it. They're
Are
gonna
they
watch
though,
it.
Ben? The last one was utter drivel and was a bit of a failure.
Oh, was it now?
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need to get people back on the right track.
To scupper a never-ending franchise, as it were.
Oh God, Ben, is it over? I think it's nearly over. Thank Christ for that, Benjamin.
Yeah,
And that's it. That's it for the news this week.
we have So that's it.
There's not a trailer. There's not an announcement to be seen. There's nothing. There's a new Halo trailer out tomorrow, Ben. So I suppose we'll have a look at that then.
Prime podcasting.
Absolute podcasting gold. Book of Mando or Book of what's it called? Book of Boba is going on.
It's still happening. I haven't watched any of it, Michael. My dad likes it.
Does he?
Yeah. Watches it all the time.
What's he saying about it?
He says it's very good, not as good as The Mandalorian, but, they're tying some stuff together from all the other Star Wars stuff that's going on.
Oh, very good. The Mandalorian is in episode 5, apparently.
Apparently, I haven't seen anything past episode 1, Michael.
I haven't even seen episode 1, Benjamin. Bryce Dallas Howard has directed an episode, I believe.
apparently they want her to get her own series as a result of that, in a rare moment of supporting a woman within the Star Wars fandom.
Isn't Star Wars a woman?
Star Wars is not a woman, Michael.
I thought Star Wars
and
was a woman. I thought
you've just
Kathleen
gotten
Kennedy was a
this.
woman.
Georgina Lucas famously wrote, directed, and created the entire universe, Michael, but she was ousted by her long-lost stepbrother, George Lucas.
Oh.
He stole the whole thing.
Yeah, and then they fucked.
Oh.
Benjamin!
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, it's good. It's like the film Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah, okay, sure, if you say so. What the fuck?
Yeah, you know the one with, what's her name, with Buffy Vampire in it.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's it. Yeah, you know that one where she has a stepbrother? I think it's Ryan Felipe.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, Michael. I really think she missed a step when she didn't take that final syllable off her name. Sarah Michelle Gellar has a real ring to it.
Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ben, you hardly know her. Benjamin.
Yes.
Peacemaker episode 5 was on.
Michael, speaking of bloody wrestler actors who are not shite.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out from under the shadow of the rock.
Jonathan Cena.
Yes.
Oh, what a man. What range, Michael.
Benjamin, this is the best show on television. I don't care what anyone says. I will wrestle anyone who disagrees.
And you'll probably win, Michael. You're a burly man.
Even if it's Roman Reigns, Ben, I'll wrestle him and say,
I don't know if that's a good idea, Michael.
I'll wrestle you, Roman Reigns.
He might take you up on that. Wrestlers are notoriously
Challenge forward.
They might just be like, yeah, all right.
All right, then, Ben, let's just put it out there. I challenge any WWE wrestler who thinks this isn't the best show currently on TV to a wrestling challenge match.
The only hope you have in this competition, Michael, because you're a big burly man. It's not the only hope you have.
Yes, Ben.
You're a big burly man.
Yes, Ben.
Is that John Cena hears your support for the show and goes, oh, go give him a hand.
Oh, yeah, we could do a team up.
You do a team up.
Yeah. Great. Benjamin.
I had a really mean joke about how you had the bald eagle part of the sidekick role stitched up.
Go on.
Because you're bald.
Oh. It's by choice, though, Ben. It's.
I know, but that doesn't really.
It's a bit personal.
That doesn't really hamper the joke, as it were.
Oh, that's a bit mean. Is this how it feels? Is this how it feels when I call you a racist or a sexist or something on the podcast?
No, because people know that I'm not those things, but you can't really deny my bald eagle joke. Can you?
Oh, no, a double whammy. Twice right in the heart. Oh my God. Some
so
more
I'm about to
follicles.
get lambasted, ladies and gentlemen, for various sexist, homophobic, and racist things over the rest of this episode. I've woken the bear, as it were.
The big bald bear. Benjamin.
Yes.
It was a light on plot, heavy on action and fun episode.
I also thought that, Michael. It's a bit of a filler.
You could argue it was a filler episode. It certainly didn't move the plot on as much as any of the others.
Exactly. Filler in name, Michael, but not filler in spirit, because it was still quite enjoyable. I didn't feel like I was wasting my time. I felt like it was a good little opportunity for a few little smidgens of character growth.
A few little smidgens of character growth, exactly. After everything we learned about Vigilante last week, for him to just be kind of reduced back to the comedy sidekick so quickly, there's little bits jarring about it. But at least Economos got a chance to shine.
Economos is a stud.
He's
Michael.
a real stud, Ben.
I think, it's interesting. I think, and I could be giving James Gunn a little too much credit here, Michael.
I don't know if you can give James Gunn too much credit, Ben, but we'll get to that later.
But I think the reversion of Vigilante to a kind of a goofball again is a false sense of security, Michael. I think the comment that Vigilante makes to Peacemaker after the Economist thing about the chainsaw, where he says, I think he's fucking with me, man. I think, I think that's going to lead to a much bigger plot line down the road. Because Vigilante's not all there, Michael.
No, he's not all there mentally, Ben. He's a bit of a loon.
He's a bit of a loon, Michael. A loose cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think we're being lured into everybody's getting on fine, and we're going to get a big old slap in the next episode.
Ooh, very unpleasant and very typical James Gunn.
Very typical James Gunn, Michael. Somebody might die.
We'll talk about that later.
But come here to me.
Go on, yeah, I'm listening.
Bloody John Cena and action. Oh, num.
It's non-stop, Ben. He's doing a big jump.
Oh, I loved it, Michael. I loved the warehouse. I loved more butterflies.
So many,
I never
Ben.
thought... Huh?
So many.
So many, Michael, throwing themselves at doors. There's a fucking gorilla.
There's a gorilla, Ben. I thought when they referenced the gorilla a couple of episodes ago, I thought they might be leading towards a gorilla Grodd sort of thing.
That's what I thought as well, Michael.
No, they just killed him with a chainsaw 2 episodes later. Benjamin.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole the butterflies in people's heads and John Cena being the only one who can see them and then going around and killing them with a shotgun was very Roddy Piper's They Live.
Oh yeah, with the glasses,
With the special magic glasses where he's the only one who can see the aliens.
I have no doubt, Michael, in my mind, that one, James Gunn was probably heavily inspired by the concept.
Yes, especially as Roddy Piper is another wrestler.
Yes, he's another wrestler. John Cena was probably like, I was just speaking with Rowdy Roddy Piper, sorry.
Yeah.
And he said to me, why don't you take a scene from my famous cult classic, They Live?
Yeah, and then he pulled up his kilt and showed me his bottom.
Yeah, and that was that, and it was great. And they so we're going to put it in this now. And James Gunn, being a much smaller man than John Cena, said, yeah, all right, John, whatever you want.
Whatever you want, John Cena, you're very large.
You're very large. Michael, come here to me. I think I have a theory now. Do you think Eagly is a bloody butterfly?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just going to enjoy that one. I was just going to roll around it for a bit, but that's okay.
Okay.
We'll move on from there.
No, I don't think so. He's too small.
He's probably too small, Michael. But as Vigilante said, it'd be cool, though. How would it be cool? It's not cool. That's what I said.
Well, what I thought was interesting was Vigilante said, wouldn't it be cool if one was in a Chihuahua? And we were introduced to Adebayo's 3 small dogs at the start of the season. So maybe he's going to end up in one of them. But I don't know if James Gunn would kill a dog in a network TV show. I know it's not network TV, but I still don't think he'd do it. But he might, but I don't think he will.
Oh, it's a curious question, Michael. It's a curious question. We'll see how it goes. Michael, do you know what I found out about this?
What did you find out about it?
Because you and I have raved about the opening credits of this bloody televisual show.
Yeah, everyone's in a big dance together.
Everyone's doing a big... Do you know what that is, Michael? Someone analysed it and they figured it out.
What is it? It's a dance.
They're dancing in the pattern of Space Invaders.
Are they? Oh, yeah.
They're dancing in the pattern of Space Invaders, and the movements that John Cena is making mimics some of the little bites that you see on the screen, some of the little invaders in Space Invaders. And then when you see bloody Patrick White's character doing the boom thing with his hands, it's the bloody cannons, Michael, at the base of the screen. That's why he's so far forward in the screen.
Who's Patrick White?
Sorry, what's his name? Patrick...
First, do you mean Robert Patrick?
Yes, I've confused Patrick White with White Dragon, and I've confused them together in my head.
Very good.
Which isn't fair on Robert Patrick. He's a very good actor.
Patrick White nationalist. Very good.
Robert Patrick at the base, very like furthest to the front of the screen, Michael, doing his little boom thing, is the cannons at the base. So someone analysed it and they're like, "Oh, it's Space Invaders." It's fucking
Space Invaders. Benjamin, also because he was the worst dancer. Did you know that the lady who plays Hardwick, is that her name?
I think it's Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett, yes, the lady who plays the character of Argos agent Josh Hartnett. That's James Gunn's lady friend.
Get out of town.
Bit of all nepotism there for you, Ben.
Nepotismo. She's very good, though.
She's quite good in it, in her defence.
It'd be much worse, Michael, if she was absolutely awful.
If she was no use, like when Kevin Smith cast his wife and stuff.
Oh, a little dig at Kevin Smith there.
She's not great. She's not great at acting.
She's shite. She's shite, and that's coming from a misogynist. So
that's
I
coming
know how
from
bad
classic.
women
Benj, I was actually going to keep all of these in a notebook and then bring them up at the end. Everything misogynist or racist, you said.
Yeah, I did not know there was a little bit of nepotismo going on there, but that's good, isn't it?
A little bit of nepotism, classic James Gunn. Benjamin.
Yeah,
it's very good. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Is it a 6 or is it a tight 8?
I'm kind of hoping it's a tight 8, Michael. I'm not ready to say goodbye.
Yeah, it's too soon. Benjamin!
Yes.
In good news, rumours are... and we don't usually cover rumours on this podcast because we don't usually have time, Ben, but this week we're doing a thing that we call in the industry, Ben, what's known as padding.
Yes, fluff piece.
Fluff, where we fill the podcast with less engaging stuff because we have nothing else to talk about. Benjamin, there are rumours swirling around the internet that James Gunn is eyeing up a second series of a different character from the Suicide Squad.
Oh, that'd be bloody good.
Getting
it's the
their
Weasel.
I hope it's the Weasel, Ben. I hope it's just 10 minutes shorts of the Weasel being gross.
We discover where he came from slowly.
Yeah, it'd be gross and horrible.
Maybe Brad Pitt will do one of his famous mini cameos, and he will have been the Weasel's human form before he became the Weasel.
Who played the Weasel? Oh, it was Sean Gunn who played the Weasel.
Sean Gunn played the Weasel.
Who would you like to see, Ben, other than the Weasel?
As completely redundant as it would be, my heart wants bloody Rick Flag to have somehow survived, but I know that's never going to happen.
Benjamin, you hated Rick Flag in the first one.
I know, but I'd just like to see him take on Peacemaker in a round 2 style scenario.
Oh, no, he's dead as a doornail, Ben. We saw his
Yes,
heart
he is.
exploding.
He's very dead, Michael, for the purpose of the fact that James Gunn was literally killing the original.
Yeah,
movie.
he couldn't do Harley Quinn, though. Benjamin,
Yeah,
I would like to see a series focused on Katana. You don't want to mess with her, Ben. She could kill you with a single stroke of her sword.
She steals the souls of her enemies.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with her. I'm intrigued
Michael,
by where that might go.
I would love to see
What would you love to see?
Ratcatcher and bloody. Oh no,
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that character.
it's not in my. Oh no, is a very popular '80s character that was slipped in on the B team, Michael, that got obliterated at the start.
No, very good.
I would like to see Ratcatcher and
Yes.
his Idris Elba's character, whose name escapes me.
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. I'd like to see the two of them
That
on a
might
team up.
that might be a bit of a high profile one.
Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, probably would.
Is Idris
Yeah,
Elba
alright.
bigger than John Cena? I'd say he is.
I'd say he is in terms of the things he can get. I don't know.
He might have been before this, but not anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think John Cena's been slowly gaining a lot of ground. Like he's in a lot of American blockbuster comedies that we don't see.
Go on.
So he kind of frequently features in ensemble American comedy casts. People like
Cockblockers.
Leslie. Huh?
Cockblockers.
There's Cockblockers, and then there was I think it's called Honeymoon Crashers or something.
All right.
And he plays somebody absolutely insane that, but they're quite popular on the Americans. He's growing slowly, Michael. John Cena's been making some very good moves for years, apart from being not Jason Statham's little brother, Vin Diesel's hidden long lost brother.
Older brother, I think. He was his older brother, wasn't he?
Fucking mental.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't know. It's hard to say. Who would you like to see, Michael?
Yeah.
Who would you like to see?
Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man, a little bit more polka dot. He was squished.
He was squished, though, and I don't like prequels, so that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, what a waste of Polka Dot Man.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't Ben. He was great.
I wonder, Michael, in a crazy world, did he maybe get flattened into some kind of circle that looks like a polka dot, and that means that he can come back through an interdimensional portal of some kind?
No, I think he got splattered into blood.
No,
and
he just got
bones.
squished. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a James Gunn classic.
Yeah, he got very sore. Looked very sore.
He's also confirmed a bunch of rumors, Michael. Since we're in the padding section of the podcast, he's also confirmed that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3
Yes.
will be the final iteration of that team.
Good.
Yes, good, because I'd imagine Marvel is now scarpering to sideline bloody Chris Pratt.
Get rid of him.
Chris Pratt, who is digging such a deep hole for himself consistently.
Benjamin, I was desperate to find out where the fad of calling Crisp Rat came from. And
Go on.
it was James Gunn.
Was it?
It was on the set of Suicide Squad. They had a rat called Chris P. Rat,
Oh my god.
and that's why people call him Crispy Rat.
Oh my god.
Isn't that fabulous?
That is it's quite something. It's quite. I don't know what to say to that, but it has all but sent the internet into a frenzy, Michael, because now people are doing like a James Gunn lottery where they're like, which of the Guardians of the Galaxy characters are we going to see die?
All of them, I'd say.
I think we'll see a significant amount of them kick the bucket. I think I'm gonna put a few chips down on the old poker board of movie predictions.
Go on.
That's a couple of mixed metaphors for you there, Michael.
Yeah, you don't really predict things in poker. That's
I'm gonna reckon, Michael.
Yes.
That Mr. One Crispy Rat takes a nosedive.
Yes.
He's gonna do the big sacrifice. He'll be given that at least. I reckon we're probably gonna see the end of Drax,
Probably yes.
because we've spoken one bloody Batista has spoken very clearly on how he'd like to step away.
Mm-hmm.
I think we might see a goodbye to a raccoon.
I wouldn't be surprised, Ben, even if they do a thing, a kind of end of his natural life cycle sort of thing.
Yeah,
He's
just
a
a classic. I'm old.
Yeah, I'm old now. I'm a raccoon at the end of the day.
I've been old for years.
Yeah, I'm like the oldest raccoon in the universe.
So I think we might see a little bit of that. I think we might see a Gamora Groot survival rate somewhere.
Yeah. You see, they've both already died.
Yeah. So then we will probably get rid of a Pom Klementov as well. I think we're going to introduce a whole bunch of new characters, Michael.
I can't see them killing Mantis, to be honest.
Really?
I think they'll leave Mantis alone. I think she'll survive, but kind of drift away or something like that.
Oh, okay.
You know, it'd be a bit too much of a blow to kill off one of the only purely nice characters they have.
It's true. It's true. He has said, though, Michael, that he would be open to a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4, but it wouldn't be with the same iteration.
Yeah, get a whole gang of new people in.
Why not? It's a James Gunn classic.
Exactly. Benjamin.
Yeah.
I suppose, in a way, the Guardians of the Galaxy, it was really set up so that the first one was really a Star-Lord film, wasn't it? And the others were all just his annoying sidekicks.
Yeah, and then it slowly became clear that Star-Lord was going to become the butt of just about every joke.
Yeah, they
in
really...
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They really did Star-Lord wrong. Whatever you think about Chris Pratt... Chris Pratt. His name's not Chris Pratt. Whatever you think about Chris Pratt... they really did Star-Lord bad, didn't they? You really made him an absolute fucking goon.
See, this is what I'm so curious about, right? I think that happened because people don't like Chris Pratt.
People loved Chris Pratt, Ben. People loved
Chris.
Yes.
By Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, but by the time Avengers Endgame had come out, Michael, by the time those movies had made their way forward, Chris Pratt had revealed himself to be a bit of a dolt.
Mm.
And I think people like the Russo brothers and James Gunn probably aren't the biggest fans of weird religious mega churchy stuff.
Possibly. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Get rid of him anyway.
Get rid of him anyway.
Benjamin, who are some good sidekicks and who are some bad sidekicks is the segue I was trying to set you up for.
That's the most buttery segue I've ever heard, Michael. It would have been great if I hadn't chosen that moment to launch into a tirade against Crispy Rat.
Yeah. You've got a lot going on there.
I'll probably talk about it later in therapy.
Very good.
It'll be good.
He is
so anyway,
very handsome.
He is. Yeah, no, I can't take that away from him. Aesthetically on point.
Yeah, very handsome man. Even with a bit of extra weight, Ben, he's still quite good looking.
He's still got a lot going on, Michael. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of extra weight.
Well,
sometimes.
There is for your heart health.
Oh, for your actual overall. That's it. We're going to be cancelled now, Michael. This will be the thing that lays us low. We've just fat shamed.
Have we?
All over now.
I didn't fat shame him though. I was just concerned about his heart health.
No, facts don't care about your feelings, Michael. It turns out being fat is fine as long as you're okay with it.
I'm glad you said
any damage.
I'm glad you said facts don't care about your feelings, man. That's great. Now we're going to get a Spotify deal.
Yes, several. Woohoo!
Oh, hold on, hold on a second, Ben. Neil Young is at my door. He's coming to beat me up.
I was just about to go. This is one of my favorite. Can we do a little bit of meta podcast news then?
Hold on, Ben. Just let me. Hold on, just 1 second. Just let me just deal with this for a second. Just tell him I'll be down in a minute, but point out that I'm much bigger than him and he's 70. All right, thanks. All right, now he's gone.
I think one of the most interesting things I've ever come across is Neil Young thinking that him taking his music off Spotify is somehow a stand against the likes of Joe Rogan.
Well, is it not?
I don't think Neil Young carries the relevance he once did, Michael.
Well, okay, yes, for sure. But first of all, yeah, it's funny. It's a weird thing because I'm against cancel culture. In general, and it's weird to see someone so old accidentally cancelling himself, which is quite amusing. But on the other hand, Joni Mitchell has now followed him, and sure, Neil Young is no Joni Mitchell. Neil Young is no Joe Rogan, and Joni Mitchell is no Joe Rogan. But Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and
Joni Rogan
and Neil Rogan and Joe Young, all of those people together might make up a Joe Rogan. But at the end of the day, Ben, all of these decisions are financial decisions. They're not really political decisions.
Go on.
Because what's really interesting is not that Neil Young has pulled his music and Joni Mitchell has pulled her music off the platform. It's that their record company said, "Oh yeah, sure, no worries. You go ahead and do that."
That's true.
And the reason they're doing that is because Spotify don't give a shit about music anymore.
Yeah, it's true. They're shifting models, Michael.
Spotify is a podcasting platform now. So, if all musicians end up pulling their music off Spotify, all it will take is a couple of And it feels weird to call Neil Young and Joni Mitchell B or C listers, but just because they're not currently very popular and in the public eye. But all it takes is one Taylor Swift to follow them, and the whole house of cards comes down.
That's a fair point, Michael. I guess we'll have to sit tight and see what happens with the bloody Joe Young, Neil Mitchell, and Joni Rogan saga.
Exactly, meet Joe Young, as they say.
Yes, meet Joe Young. Anyway, Michael, that would be a weird sidekick team up, wouldn't it? All three of them working together.
Very good.
I'll tell you what, Michael. There's been some other weird sidekick team ups over the years.
Oh, very
we're going
good.
to take a look at them.
Let's do that indeed.
Yeah.
There's
Michael,
only so much padding you can do, Ben.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've probably run out of padding now, Michael. We've padded too far to the sun. Anyway, come here to me,
I'm
Michael.
Here. What is
do you
it?
know what's always really kind of ground my gears?
Oh, women in positions of power.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Anything else?
Minorities.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. What's the other thing I accuse you of? That's racism and sexism.
Homophobia.
Homophobia. Yes, the old gays, Ben.
Oh yeah, grr. Yeah, it's yeah. But you know what actually does in a pop culture?
Benjamin, the best bit of that bit was you reminding me that homophobia is the thing I accuse you of. Just real casual, like, don't forget homophobia.
That's an important one.
Fucking get on with it.
That's one of my favorites.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry, I'm going to need a second. I quite enjoyed that exchange. Anyway.
Yes, what is it?
Michael, nothing drives me up a wall like a shite sidekick.
Oh, right, yeah.
I hate them, Michael.
Yeah, well, get rid of them then.
Yeah, they're so bad, Michael. They're so bad.
Benjamin,
What
do you mean?
Sidekicks have a long history, Michael, of just being there to do exposition. They're for a lot of the time, Michael.
Yes.
Even pre-comic books, pre-Saturday morning cartoons, the sidekick is a staple in literature.
John Watson.
John Watson being the best example of it, probably because he's not annoying and terrible or racist or a caricature of another ethnicity.
Yes.
Or anything like that. We've avoided that. But in literature, the one of the very first popular novels, Michael, Robinson Crusoe by Willem Dafoe.
Oh,
Not
yes.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, the actor Willem
Daniel
Dafoe.
Daniel Dafoe.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Dafoe.
You know, Willem Dafoe has an enormous penis, apparently.
Enormous, apparently.
Yeah.
Lars von Trier said that they had to make a prosthetic to make it smaller because people were unnerved by the ratio to his body. He said my cast was confused.
I wonder if that's true, or did Willem Dafoe just start acting like the Green Goblin and Lars von Trier said, I'll say whatever you want, Willem. Just let me publish your book about a man stuck on the island.
I really like the notion that Willem Dafoe has a disconcerting penis. It really ties in with my understanding of that man.
It's the internet's favorite thing of the week. Anyway, Ben, sorry. Robinson Crusoe.
Robinson Crusoe had Friday.
Oh yeah, that's a bit racist.
Friday is hella racist, Michael. It's an islander who can't speak English and communicates through a series of eye bulges and hand gestures. And he's been thrown out by his savage tribe, and that's how he finds Robinson Crusoe, and they become best pals.
Oh, good. Well, at least they become pals.
They do become pals. They become very pals. Very good pals. And we see that trope kind of repeat itself, Michael, over the years, but especially in the world of crime fiction and things like that. There's always a sidekick in crime fiction.
Cato.
So say again?
Cato
and the Green Hornet, exactly. We have, as you pointed out, Michael, Watson and Holmes. Or Holmes and Watson, if you want to go with the superhero.
Yeah.
Sidekick.
Tonto.
Tonto and the Lone Ranger, Michael. Yeah. So Western serials really pushed that new character dynamic into the fore for media. With the most famous example being just what you said, Tonto. Again, Michael, very racist.
Slightly racist, you could argue.
Very racist, Michael. A parody of Native Americans and things like that.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a parody. Parody makes it intentional.
Okay, sorry. Savage misunderstanding.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, Ben, I'm not a huge fan of judging things which were created in the past by the standards of today exclusively. Like, you can look back at something and say that is quite racist by today's standard, but it's also interesting to take a look at it at the standard of the time. And how many heroic Indians were there? In
Probably
those
quite a
days?
few that we don't know about.
No, I mean in popular culture.
Oh,
I mean, Tonto is okay, a bit on the nose.
yeah.
And was he played by an Indian actor on the TV? I know the TV isn't the Indian Native American.
He was not.
He wasn't. Okay,
He
but
was
also
played by a man in red face.
that's not great. But we're always saying representation matters, and it just so happens that the first steps of representation are often getting it slightly wrong, but in a broadly well-meaning way. What are your thoughts on that there, Ben? Well, that's not the topic of this week's podcast, so just answer that quickly and then we'll move on to
sidekicks are a
sidekicks.
huge part of representation. Sidekicks were often included later on to allow people to see, mainly children, to see themselves in a superheroic role, but they would later be branched out to up diversity and to broaden the kind of cultural contributions of different things. I mean, it didn't work very well with Robins. Robins are mostly white.
There's
but
a
we did
girl
see
one.
Huh?
There's a girl
There's a
one.
girl one. But now we have a new sidekick on the Batman team, Duke.
Okay, who's he?
And Duke is a young black man from Gotham, and he's a metahuman, but he works with Batman, and it's representation on screen. I think for a lot of underrepresented communities, very often the representation that they did get, as you've pointed out, was a first step. And what we get quite often with that is just what we would assume was parody, but actually wasn't. It's a misunderstanding of the character. So you have things like Black Lightning.
Yes.
Or Luke Cage in his initial iterations.
Okay, these aren't sidekicks though. We're veering
No. Wait,
Okay,
give
go
me
on.
a sec.
Go
Give
on,
me
all
a
right.
sec.
Okay.
There's
You
a
got-
larger point at work.
You got one sec, Ben, because it
got one
feels
sec.
like you're going off topic, but go on.
So those characters, when they were initially introduced, were not great representation. They were what white comic book writers thought black communities spoke like, or black communities behaved like. They were blaxploitation films by any other name. But as time went by, Michael,
Yes.
those characters remained, and they didn't want to get rid of them because they are the early steps. So what do? You introduce a bunch of side characters that act as a kind of fleshing out of the character, or a new way for us to see the character in a cleaner form. In the case of Luke Cage, they gave him a family, which
Okay.
doesn't really put us into the sidekick territory. But for people like Black Lightning,
Yes.
his family becomes sidekicks. You have his daughter. I'm gonna get this wrong now.
Black Lightning S.
No, I don't. But you have his family who would become sidekicks to him, and then he becomes a mentor for other young black heroes like Static Shock or Virgil Hawkins, if you're into that kind of thing. Virgil Hawkins has gone on to become his own hero in his own right. But in early representation, we usually got the ham-fisted approach, and then sidekicks would be a way to round out those edges a little bit later.
I see. I
So-
thought sidekicks just existed as a reason, as someone for kids to relate to.
So there's a lot of different reasons that they exist, Michael. So I'm gonna jump in now to a little thing I've coined the Robin paradigm.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to deal with it now.
I'm dealing with it.
Okay. So
Oh, he's
there
got his
are-
notebook.
I have a notebook
He's got his notebook, ladies and gentlemen.
full of notes. I got notes.
It's going to be an
So,
academic
Michael-
episode.
An academic. Get your academics on. I'm gonna get that on a T-shirt. Anyway,
Tell us about what's
Michael.
going on.
Robin is probably one of the most well-known, if not the most well-known, comic book sidekick.
Yes.
I don't think you could make an argument to the contrary. And initially, when he was introduced, Michael, you are spot on. It was a way for young people to see themselves in the comic books that they read.
Yes, because they couldn't be Batman. He's too big.
Yes, he's too bloody big,
Yeah, he's too big.
and they've got no money. Kids
They've
don't
got
have any
no
money.
money.
So they're like, I'll never be a millionaire.
That's why we can't see ourselves as Batman.
Yeah, it's socioeconomic restraint.
Yes.
But in this particular case, Michael, he was the boy wonder, and the emphasis used to be a lot more on the boy wonder. That was the whole point. He was a kid. He was amazing. He was able to do things that Batman couldn't do.
A flip.
And that original Robin was Dick Grayson, of course. And so, using the Robin paradigm, we can take a look at two very different sidekicks. We have the good Grayson and the terrible Todd.
Oh, no.
Okay. Now, if we look at why sidekicks are used, Michael, because you mentioned it a few times, there are two major ways they're used. They're used diegetically.
Oh, it's big word time.
It's big word time, buddy. And extra diegetically. Now, when we want to look at that in a much simpler form, that diegetically simply means in their world.
Yes.
So in the world of the comic book or the movie or the TV show. And extra diegetic means their function in our world. So
I think that's
use
also a Fergie song.
extra diegetic. And yeah, I can't remember the rest of it, but you're absolutely right.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
But from the point of view of an in their world function, Robin is a fantastic foil for Batman.
Well, is he? You should probably go to jail for child abuse.
Oh, several times over. Batman is nothing anyone should ever aspire to.
Child endangerment of the highest order, Ben.
Of the highest order, Michael. Not on.
Do a flip over that lava.
Oh, just inhale some of that toxic nerve gas there, please, and experience your worst trauma nightmares so you can push the button and free me, Robin, you fool.
Give this sexy plant lady a big kiss.
Chris O'Donnell. Go on. Give her
Go
a plan. Don't forget your plastic lips, though.
Yeah.
Don't have
How old are
those
you,
anymore.
Robin? How old are you just before you do this? You're 18. Okay, grand.
All right, go on. Give her a smooch.
Work away.
So anyway, in general, Robin's a pretty interesting thing, and there's been different takes on why Batman took him on. Some of the cynical takes, we've had Frank Miller, who wrote the now much maligned. He attempted to make a comeback to comics with Jim Lee, and he wrote a kind of new wave of Batman stories, and they were really bad. But apparently, he takes on Robin in a bright costume, so criminals would aim at him.
Oh,
as opposed to
that's cynical.
which is dark.
Yeah, you shoot that brightly coloured child, fellow criminals.
It's so dark. Oh yeah, you look great in those childhood colours. Yeah, good stuff.
Stick them on there, do a big flip.
Like,
Make a bit more noise.
Oh, it was real bad. And the other argument was that's why he encouraged Robin to talk so much, so that they'd have an even better chance of being distracted and, looking away. But from that point of view, he's useful. He diffuses risk for Batman. He's backup, he's a good cop to Batman. As Dick Grayson got older, we saw him in the Nightwing iteration, and one of the things that Dick Grayson offers to criminals is, you can talk to me or you can talk to Batman.
Yeah, he's much worse.
And most criminals in Gotham have some kind of fracture as a result of talking to Batman. So they're like, no, I'll talk to you. It's fine.
That's how we get.
Okay.
That's how we get people to let you interview them at Comic-Con.
Yeah, because they see you first.
You can talk to Ben or you can talk to Mick, and I'm just standing over there, real sweaty. And they're like, we'll talk to you.
Well, I guess we'll talk to you.
That other fella's very sweaty looking.
Sidekicks in a podcasting environment are also a thing. From an extra diegetic point of view, Michael, they
Extra
reflect...
diegetic.
Extra diegetic. Anyway, from that point of view, Michael, they reflect far more what you say. They are a surrogate audience. They exist to help the audience understand the world that they've just entered. They are a sounding board for the character, because we don't often get to hear the main character, wax lyrical or give their thoughts. So when we have a new incomer, it's a sounding board, so we get lots of exposition and explanation and things like that. So it's a way to include us in the world.
That's why Deadpool and She-Hulk don't need one.
No, so that is what we call hyper diegetic, and it borders the meta aspect of certain comics, a story within a story.
Alrighty.
And that's a whole other realm of things. We get very few sidekicks who can access hyper diegetic storylines. It's usually sidekicks are interesting. They aren't given that meta status that other characters can get, because I guess it doesn't make sense to have a main character if someone else has a meta ability, and if they have a meta ability, surely they're the main. It's a whole thing. Anyway, it's a whole thing. This is why Dick Grayson becomes the perfect sidekick.
Ben, you have said Dick so much on this podcast, we're going to get demonetized.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll do a few anti-vax episodes and Spotify will give us a deal. It's grand. There's a whole strategy in play here in 2022, Mike.
Yeah. Do we really know what's in them, Ben?
I'm very health conscious, Michael.
No, let's not do this because people might not realize this is parody. Just get back on with it.
So anyway.
Yes.
This is why Dick Grayson became the all-time Robin. This is why he's great, because he fulfilled all this criteria in a clean, easy way. Okay?
Yes.
And then, Michael, it came time to let Dick Grayson advance past the mantle of Robin and into his own iteration. And that created tension in the 80s storylines. And, it was time for the big shift from the Silver Age in the 70s. And so he became Nightwing. And off he went, Michael. Huh?
The big shift. He got the big shift from Uma Thurman.
He got the big shift, Michael. He got the big shift. And off he did go and become Nightwing. And then he was replaced by... Jason Todd.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. So, Jason Todd is the greatest marketing failure or editorial decision failure that I have ever seen in modern comics. Jim Starlin took over the Batman titles for a couple of years in the 80s, and he was the man responsible for the introduction of Jason Todd. And he did what a lot of DC writers did in the 70s, in the 80s. And he felt that comics had gotten out of touch with young people, so they would create a sidekick or a persona that they thought reflected the attitude of young people at that time.
Hey, what's cool, my fellow youngsters?
Exactly. So it becomes the Steve Buscemi meme of "What's up, my fellow kids," and it's a little bit like that. We see it a few different times. Snapper Carr got introduced at one point, and he was the cool intern for the Justice League, and he was called Snapper Carr because he liked snapping his fingers. Because that was real
what
cool.
An absolute asshole! I bet you he was fucking useless.
He was. He didn't even have powers.
Get rid of him.
He was shit. But we also saw Jason Todd introduced Jason Todd as a mean kid from the wrong side of the tracks. And we meet him in a scene where he's trying to steal the wheels off the Batmobile.
Very famous.
Yeah. And so Batman, fresh off the grieving process for Nightwing, goes, do you know what? About time I took another kid under my wing.
Yeah, and this one's expendable because he's a criminal.
Because he's a criminal. So he's morally open to being murdered. It's great. And from there, Jim Starlin proceeded to write him kind of as a
real prick.
A prick, yeah. A rebel, a prick, all of these things. And what we saw in that character, Michael, is a failure to fulfill the criteria that I laid out before this. He no longer served as a way the audience could access the character because they didn't relate to him anymore. They weren't filled with confusion and wonder and things like that. He was just snarky and mean and weird, and it was strange. The characters, a lot of fans couldn't relate to him. I think the primary reason that Jason Todd failed is because people who had grown up with Dick Grayson weren't children anymore.
So they saw themselves in Nightwing maturing and going off on their own adventures.
Yeah, and they could kind of relate to that, but they were also kids when they were first introduced to the concept of a sidekick.
Yeah.
And then they got this brand new kid, and they were like, what the fuck is with this kid's attitude? And they're like, well, sometimes, teenagers are like that.
Well, I wasn't.
No, you were a wonderful teenager.
No, I don't mean me personally. I was being the voice of the reader.
No, you were being the voice of the reader. I was great.
Yeah, kids who were reading comic books weren't stealing tires.
But anyway, slowly over time, Batman kind of gets gaslit by Jason Todd into doubting his own worth as a parent and a guardian and all these things, because he is a terrible guardian. So
terrible.
I don't know if it was gaslighting.
Do a backflip over this lava. Oh, why?
But anyway, Denny O'Neil had gotten numerous letters kind of lambasting the character, and so he put it up to the famous competition in 1989. where DC started up their own phone-in line for 50 cents a call, and 10,000 people called.
Yeah.
And the vote won by 72 votes to get rid of Jason Todd.
Ben, you have to explain what the vote was. The vote was, call in now if you want Jason Todd to get beaten with a crowbar to death.
So it wasn't exactly that, Michael. It was call in now if you want to get rid of Jason Todd. And this launched the famous Death in the Family arc that Batman is famous for now. And it only won by 72 votes, Michael, which I find fascinating.
That could have been you.
It could have been any of us, Michael. It could have been any of us. 72 votes is nothing at all.
George Trump would have demanded a recount.
Probably several. But he then dies in what is frankly a very horrific way. He tries to find his birth mother in the Lebanon and is beaten to death so that he cannot escape and save his mother, who's executed by the Joker. And then the whole building blows up on top of him. It's really grim.
But
yeah.
come back fromable.
You come back fromable if you're into universal shifting cracks in the multiverse.
Yeah, I thought he just survived.
No, it depends on which version you read, Michael. In some versions, he's saved by Ra's al Ghul. In other versions, the universe shifted a crack and certain events were undone in the temporal landscape.
No use.
Oh, Michael, some amount of bollocks.
Get rid of it.
Some amount of bollocks in comics. But therein represents kind of the shift in the characters. So readers really don't like when they can't relate to a character. And more importantly, when editors make the decision to kind of speak to the kids.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah. We get a failure in the role. So there have been a few dire examples of sidekicks over the years that have just really mucked up a character and how it was going. So would you like me to start, Michael, or would you like you to start?
No, you start. You go ahead, because I don't really have any examples like that. I have a couple of other interesting examples of sidekicks which are weird, but we can get those in a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, that's...
You go ahead.
Cool. So one of the earliest examples of this is Toro, Michael.
Oh!
Yeah.
What's a Toro?
Toro is the sidekick to the original Human Torch.
No, I know that, but what is a Toro?
It's a bull, Michael.
Oh, okay.
Toro. As they say in Seville. Now.
All right.
But Toro is the sidekick to the original Human Torch. The original Human Torch was an android, Michael, that could light himself on fire.
And children. He could light children on fire, apparently.
Which he did with young Toro. So this poor young fella meets the Human Torch and then comes away with the ability to light himself on fire. Now, Michael, where this gets a bit on the nose is that both his parents died in a fire. Originally in comics, orphan sidekicks were a thing.
Oh, yeah. You can just find any orphan child and set them alight. You can put wings on them. Do whatever you want.
Of a character. But it failed horribly as a thing because it was just the hero again. They made a mini-me. And it was completely pointless and moot and really irritated readers because they were like, what is the point of this character? He brings nothing to the table.
He does bring something. Smaller flames.
Smaller flames. Sparks. But Toro we've seen actually, Michael, in the recent Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, go on.
Series. Toro is the young army man who gives Falcon a hand every once in a while. That's Toro.
I thought he was the next Falcon.
Yeah, he will be the next Falcon, but it is Toro. It's the same character from the original 1940s comics.
How come he's not on fire anymore?
I don't know, Michael, but I'm waiting to see him being lit on fire.
How come he was Hispanic? There was no Hispanics in the 40s in comics.
There was no Hispanics in the 40s, full stop, Michael. I don't think you'll find it was in the comics.
As far as we're aware.
As far as we're aware. Let's not look into the records. But we got that one, Michael.
All right, go on.
Which is pretty bad. But one of my favourite ones, keeping on the kind of Captain America and Winter Soldier ones, is, have you heard of Free Spirit?
No, I haven't, Ben.
Oh, Michael, in 1994.
So, in the long and distant past.
The long and distant past. Cast your mind back to 1994.
We'd only had Hispanics for a few years.
For a few years. And what we got, Michael, was an editor who said, this heavy render era sure is great for pocket pouches and padding.
Big muscly men.
And muscly men. But you know what we could use a few more of? Dames.
Dames with thongs, probably, if it was 1994.
So what we got Michael, was Free Spirit. And Free Spirit was a woman who was brainwashed to hate men.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of
put
those
through
these
a
days, Ben, you were saying.
And put through a similar process as Captain America.
Right.
She came out with similar abilities to Captain America,
Which were?
super
big
strength,
punch,
endurance, an enhanced mental processing power, the whole nine.
The whole 9 yards, yeah.
Overcame her
Hatred of men.
overcame her brainwashing, her man-hating brainwashing, thanks to Captain America's steady male hand.
Yeah, okay, very good.
And then proceeds to fight crime alongside Captain America in 1994 as Free Spirit.
What was her man-hating name?
I can't remember. I'll have to look it up.
I'll look it up. You keep spinning your wheels. I need to know this.
But Free Spirit, Michael, was just an excuse to draw boobs.
It sounds like you've just discovered comics, Ben.
Yeah, but this character is so bad, Michael, because she's just, I'll never be brainwashed again. And it's such a strange character, Michael. But that was Free Spirit. And that's not the first time that Captain America has had a bizarre sidekick. We also had D-Man. Have you ever heard of D-Man, Michael?
No, go on.
So D-Man is Demolition Man. That's what he is.
Okay.
And
Wesley Snipes.
he found Daredevil's old costume.
Oh, I have heard of him, yes.
Yeah, he found Daredevil's old costume, the original yellow costume that Daredevil wore before he transitioned to the now iconic red.
Mm.
And he found one of Wolverine's old masks, and he combined the two to become Demolition Man, or D-Man.
Because he has the Daredevil D on his chest.
He has the Daredevil D on his chest. Yeah, he gets killed a bunch of times, and he refuses to refer to himself in anything other than the third person.
Very good, like Ben.
So he goes around saying, D-Man's here to save the day. D-Man's got your back, Cap. And naturally, readers were just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Can you take it easy, please? Can we have less of that? And he was killed off. He's been killed off several times over the continuity of the Captain America comics, and it's just a disaster. Just a disaster,
now,
Michael.
He's back, he's fine.
He's back, is he?
He's back and he's fine.
He's back and he's fine. Michael, you hit the nail on the head before we started this episode. I want to have a few minutes talking about 80s characters.
Benjamin, first of all, hold on, before we even get to that, because I watched Super. Have you ever seen the film Super?
I have.
James Gunn's 2010 Rainn Wilson and Elliot Page vehicle Super.
A classic.
You see, it's not a classic, Ben. It's a very unpleasant watch. It's a
so bad.
weird film. It's black comedy to the point of, very hard to watch.
Yeah.
Very hard to watch, and certainly not something that one would enjoy.
Black comedy is very kind, Michael.
The blackest hearted comedy you've ever seen in your life, interspersed with horrible violence, graphic violence, and rape, and it's gross.
Oh, it's very gross.
It's one of the grossest films I've ever seen, but on purpose, not accidentally. Funnily enough, Ben, throwing back to where this all started with Vigilante as a sidekick for what's his name? Peacemaker. Yeah. A lot of this is a prototype for the show Peacemaker. And
yeah,
it's very interesting to go back and watch it. Have you, Ben, I dare you to look up the title sequence of the film Super on YouTube after this.
Okay.
And compare it back with your beloved opening sequence to Peacemaker. It's a very interesting comparison.
I remember watching that movie, Michael, when I was much younger.
Yeah,
and being
about
so
12 years
confused by it.
Oh, it's very confusing. It's all over the place. It's
yeah.
So what it's about, Ben, is it's about a man. It's a man with mental health issues.
Yeah.
Probably like undiagnosed but actual real mental health issues like schizophrenia or paranoid delusions, and he decides after his wife leaves him to become a superhero, and he just dresses up in a terrifying red homemade suit that he thinks he's had a revelation from God, and he hits people with a pipe wrench, And
Yeah.
it's horrible. It's horrible. He's horrible. He's not intentionally horrible. He thinks he's doing right. And
But he is horrible.
One of the best things about it is that there isn't a character in it who goes out of the way to point out that he's doing the bad things. It lets you inhabit the situation with him, and as a functioning person, oh, he's the baddie. But it doesn't say that. But anyway, Ben, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about today is the character of Libby.
Yeah, the sidekick.
The sidekick, Ben, because that's what we're talking about. So he meets Libby, and Libby is even more mental, Ben, to use a very kind and professionally used term. She's even more mental.
Yeah.
And she barely even has the veneer of being a superhero. She just wants to hurt people.
Yeah, he's a vehicle for her to kind of act out all the weird little things going on in her head.
Yeah. It's an opportunity for her to... It doesn't dig down into her. We don't learn much about her character, really. So you have to speculate on what might have made her so wrong. And is it a past of violence, or is it hero worship going mad, or, does she have an undiagnosed mental condition? But she almost certainly does.
A combination of all three.
All three, Ben, and there's a very unpleasant scene where she rapes the main character, despite him being a 6'4" lump and her being a tiny little woman, and it's very gross and unpleasant.
Oh, it's such a strange movie. I think it takes all those... over the years we've had various tropes making fun of Robin Batman dynamic or any superhero sidekick dynamic, and we've seen various iterations where comic authors have suggested that maybe it's not so pure. Maybe it's not so good. We've seen stuff in things like the Venture Bros. There's a kind of a Batman-esque, Superman-esque combo hero, and he constantly adopts children, but it turns out he might be molesting them. It's really dark.
But the interesting thing about this one is that it's the sidekick who is the molester.
Yeah, so there's a strange inversion of the traditional trope. Her worship is almost the weird toxic thing.
It's not almost. It is.
No, it is. Sorry.
It is. That's the real terrible thing that happens in it. Other than that, it's just a gross action movie. But the whole third act is set in motion by a sequence of events where they kill a couple of henchmen. She reveals her romantic interest in him. He completely innocently and professionally says, no way, not a chance. She rapes him. He vomits and decides, this is it. That's the thing that pushes him over the edge. He vomits and sees his kidnapped wife's face in the vomit. And then they go, and she gets killed in a very brutal way.
Very quickly, if I remember.
Very, very quickly and suddenly and surprisingly.
Bloody James Gunn.
Oh, it's very unpleasant, Ben. And you're thinking the whole time, like, is this a moral lesson? Are we happy she's dead because she's horrible? Because it's a fun superhero film and sometimes they're having adventures, and the next thing you know, she has half her head's missing, and you're thinking, she wasn't great though, was she? She was a bit horrible.
She wasn't a good person, but you're never left with a resolution in that film, I find.
Well, you kind of are. That's the problem. The really weird thing about that film is you do get a resolution where they rescue his wife and she goes off and lives a normal life. She leaves him and she goes off and lives a normal life, and he suffers no repercussions for his actions.
Oh.
And that's presented, although it might be being presented in a black comedy way, as a good thing, as a happy ending. But what I was thinking, Ben, and where I throw back again to Super almost being a prototype. Super really feels like a prototype for Peacemaker.
Okay.
I challenge you to go back and watch it and go, oh, Steve Agee's in it, Ben.
Who's that now? You got
John Economist.
Oh, okay.
He has one line.
Oh, John Economist.
Just be mates with James Gunn and you're sorted. And but what it shares in common with Peacemaker is obviously a red-suited big lump as a main character.
Yep.
Who has some sort of past trauma that makes them not able to relate to people normally.
Very good.
And then they pick up a sidekick character who's even more deranged.
Vigilante,
and the Libby eventually calls herself Bolty. And their sidekick character is lacking their moral center. Their sidekick character just loves doing violence.
Yeah.
And
They're not a foil so much as an extension.
they're both a kind of like, well, I suppose our main character isn't very likable, but at least they're not as bad as this person.
Oh, okay, so they are a foil in a very different way. It's like, this is what could happen.
Yeah, like this is what they would be like if they didn't have the moral center, so I guess we will root for them.
Oh, it's very iffy, isn't it?
That's James Gunn for you, Ben. Anyway, Ben,
Yeah.
on a lighter note, Ben, the real reason, and we all know it, that sidekicks exist, is for kids to be able to relate to, and therefore want to buy the toys.
Boy, those toys.
Buy those toys, or Ben, watch that cartoon, or buy the film, or go to the cinema, or whatever you need kids to hassle their parents into doing. And that's
more
why
sidekicks, the merrier.
the more, get them in. As many sidekicks as you can fit, get them in.
Yeah.
And I would nearly include, Ben, non-verbal cheery mascots in it as well.
Snarf, snarf.
Snarf, snarf, Ben. Thundercats is interesting because it has both snarf, snarf as the classic trope of the cowardly, humorous, non-verbal sidekick.
Yeah.
You've got your snarfs, you've got your slimers, you've got your... a few others, Ben, I can't think of any of
Orko
them.
or Battle Cat or whichever one you want to...
Battle Cat, let's say, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you've also got Wily Cat and Wily Kit, who are the precocious kid characters.
Ugh.
And, Ben, what you want to do is you want to go and get them, round them all up and put them all in a big bin together. Get your Wily Cat, your Wily Kit. Go over to the Mask universe, Ben, and get T-Bob and whatever Matt Tracker's precocious son's name was. Put them in the same bin. Go pop over to the Transformers universe, Ben, and pick up Spike and Daniel Witwicky. Get rid of both of them. They're all just the worst.
The worst, Michael.
No use at all.
Kid sidekicks have a special place in hell, Michael.
The funny thing about those kid sidekicks from the 80s is they are all exactly the same character.
Yeah. Again, they're attempting that extra diegetic thing of, oh, look, that's you. That's you.
That's you. You could be in it. You could be friends with a little egg robot man who turns into a scooter. Would you like that?
Would you like that?
Would you like to be friends with T-Bob? I was like, no, I wouldn't actually. I want to
Just
be friends
ask your mother to buy it now for $9.99, $99.99.
Do you want to be friends with Scooter, the GoBot who turns into a scooter and is a prick?
No, thank
Do you?
sir.
Do you want to be friends with Leader 1 who turns into a cool fighter jet, or do you want to be friends with Scooter who's tiny and ineffectual?
No, thank you, sir.
Ben, why did they think we wanted it? I didn't want it. I watched those cartoons when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be one of the cool ones.
I don't know if it's... formula is a powerful thing when it comes to TV, and I genuinely think the people that get to make decisions on television don't necessarily understand that what they watched when they were younger isn't what people want anymore.
Go on.
I think in the original iteration of cartoons, those early days of cartoons, post-Fleischer era, heading into the late 60s and 70s, where we got the Jetsons and the Flintstones and...
Yeah.
You know, we got things like that. That ensemble cast, you know, you had your sassy one, you had your kid character, you had your non-verbal cute character, you had the weird comic relief. So in the Jetsons, you had George Jetson, who was essentially the Ralph Kramer character in any kind of... not Ralph Kramer, guy from the Honeymooners, doesn't matter. You had that character who would come in and he was the fuddy-duddy dad and nothing ever goes my way. And you had Fred Flintstone on the opposite side of that. When you went further into that, each character would kind of a thing. So you'd have the calm, cool-headed wife who put up with her husband's shenanigans, and you'd have that in Wilma or Mrs. Jetson in the case of the Jetsons. Then you'd have your non-verbal characters. So you had Dino the dinosaur, the weird cat thing in the Flintstones, etc. And Dino made a really stupid noise. Have you ever seen the Flintstones cartoon recently?
Never seen it or heard of it.
He has like a really high-pitched... You've never heard of the Flintstones?
No, what is it?
Get the fuck out of here. Screw you.
Flintstones. Is it the Flintstones?
He's a really high-pitched, annoying character. But that formula was established very early on and continued. I mean... Funny, we've missed one, but the one of the most maligned sidekicks of all time is Scrappy Doo.
Oh, we forgot about Scrappy Doo, Ben. No one likes him.
No one likes Scrappy, and it's because he's all of the things that a TV executive thought they'd like. We'll make him small. He'll be like the main character. He'll be a fast talker in a small body, and people don't like it. People are just like, no, thank you. I will have less of that, please.
Less of that.
Yeah, but it's an interesting one. Sure, look, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
What do you think? What sidekick from your youth or what sidekick from today really just makes you want to punch the screen on which you are consuming your media?
I don't mind Tails.
Tails, yeah. I don't know. I
don't love him or hate him, but he doesn't boil my blood the way bloody T-Bob does.
T-Bob really gets you, huh?
Oh, I don't even know if that's his real name.
I don't know what his name is, Michael, but I'm going to let you hate him anyway, because that's important. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get in touch with us in a few different ways to let us know which sidekicks you hate the most. So you can get in touch with us on the interwebs at www.seanrabiog.com.
Look at that little eggy prick, Ben.
He looks like Herbie from the Fantastic Four.
Oh,
He's
he can
also
get in,
a much hated.
He can get in the bin with him.
Yeah.
robot bin.
www.seanrabiog.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
You can find us on the interwebs at Sure Look Listen Podcast.
Can you?
No, Instagram. Sorry, you can find us on Instagram at Sure Look Listen. You threw off my thing with the stupid little egg man. You can find us on Instagram at Sure Look Listen Podcast. You can get in touch with us in lots of different ways, ladies and gentlemen. But the best way to do it is to get up on that Discord, baby.
Hop up on it, as Fergie would say.
We have also just launched our own free phone hotline, 555-6262. You can ring in, ladies and gentlemen, and tell us which character on this podcast you'd like to see die. Would you like to see the epic hero Mick die or his very annoying sidekick Ben? You can ring in now and give us a shout.
Yeah, do ring in. Vote Ben.